9 News Plus weather, sponsored by Carrier Colorado. The future of home comfort is here.
Hey, thanks so much for joining us here on 9 News Plus on this beautiful Thursday morning. Got that fresh snow on the ground. It's not as cold as it was yesterday, so lots of reasons to smile about all this recent precipitation we've had. Obviously the sun's back out, that helps. And then, of course, a much warmer weekend ahead. So this snow that we've got outside right now, it's going to melt pretty quickly. Again, I'm meteorologist Chris Bianchi. Thanks for joining us here on 90s Plus. So let's take a look outside. Stop looking at my face. Who cares about that? Let's take a look outside in the beautiful blue skies that are overhead and all that fresh snow that is on the ground. But again, snow, you've been warned. Your days are numbered. That snow on the ground that we're seeing now. In fact, my colleague meteorologist Corey Breppenhagen is going to have a detailed story on this later today here on 9 News. This is going to melt pretty quickly due to a combination of temperatures and the fact that this was a very fluffy snow. There's less water within that snow that we picked up, and as a result, it's going to melt a lot quicker, unlike that late December snowstorm, which was basically cement in snow version. And so that, plus the very low sun angle, plus really high temperatures, that's why that snow took a long time to melt. All right, headlines. Sun's back, warmer tomorrow and this weekend, and then next week does look pretty active. One more details on that as we get a bit closer, but right now it does look like we're going to get a couple days of some kind of sloppy snow. I will say I'm not seeing anything at this point that looks as dramatic as what we saw yesterday. And yesterday was a solid medium high snowstorm for us here across the Denver area. It wasn't anything that we haven't seen, wasn't our biggest snowstorm even this season, but it was enough snow that it certainly led to quite a few disruptions yesterday. I don't think we're looking at anything like that for next week, at least at this point. Stay with us, of course, in case that changes. Temperatures right now, a lot of single digits and teens for us into the high country, teens and 20s out on the eastern plains of our beautiful state. And by the way, Denver just snapping a streak of 28 straight hours of at or below zero wind chills. And it does look like that temperatures are going to continue to rebound nicely with that sunshine. We'll get up around maybe slightly above freezing for our day today. Winds on the light side, so at least it won't feel as bad. And we will start to melt off some of that snowfall. Watch out for any snow that we do melt, because we will be talking about patchy black ice tonight. So careful driving out there. Again, black ice will be an issue tonight and tomorrow morning. And it probably will be around throughout much of the weekend, because again, this snow is going to melt pretty quickly. Forecast highs for today, teens and 20s into the high country, 20s and 30s out on the eastern plains. What you're looking at here, about 10 to 15 degrees below our seasonal average. But HD Doppler radar, this is fantastic. This is absolutely beautiful to me right now. In fact, what you're seeing there in eastern Colorado, this is snowpack that's being picked up here by the satellite. And you can actually pick out a couple of pretty key rivers there. You can pick out the Arkansas River pretty clearly there in southeastern Colorado. And we haven't been able to do that much of this season because Colorado Springs and Pueblo got a ton of snow from the system. Colorado Springs, 8.5 inches worth of snowfall. Some parts of southeast Colorado getting over a foot of snow. Great news for that part of the state. They really did need the moisture, but we haven't been able to pick out the Purgatoire rivers as well as the Arkansas River, and you can even see the John Martin Dam out there in southeast Colorado from this vantage point. And in fact, if you look closely enough up by I-76, that is the South Platte River that is picking out there on HD Doppler radar. At least to me, I'm sure my fellow nerds out there are slowly nodding as well. This is a beautiful sight and just so cool to basically see a physical map, a topographical map in snow version. So let's get past that into your actual forecast, what you probably actually care about. Sunshine sticks around through today. It'll continue into our day tomorrow. Gorgeous day on tap for tomorrow, by the way. It's going to be wonderful for any sort of dog walks, jogs, things like that. Looks great for our day tomorrow. Tonight, it's easily chilly for us. Temperatures drop down into the low to mid 20s for us. And that sunset, 5:36 p.m., by the way, less than a month away from our first 7 p.m. sunsets of the year. That's due to a combination of course, our sun sets getting later and later, but also daylight saving time goes into effect in the middle of next month. Tomorrow, or I should say it's actually the second weekend of next month, so it's getting close. Tomorrow, temperatures 50 degrees for us, mostly sunny skies, and this is actually a tick above our seasonal average, so enjoy the nice weather. That will help melt off a lot of this fresh snowpack for us. Temps mostly in the 30s and 40s for us in the eastern plains. A few spots do get to 50 or above, and more like 30s for us into the high country. So not quite bluebird skiing, but should be a-okay up there into the high country. We do get more cloud cover into the picture for Saturday. In fact, let's kind of go ahead and back this back up for you here. Saturday, weak system passes off to our west, and what that's going to do is it's going to increase our cloud cover, and then by the time we get into your Sunday, a weak system drops on in from the north and the west. That'll lead to some mountain snowfall for us on our Sunday, and then that will eventually lead to the potential for a bit of snow for us here on the Front Range, but it doesn't at this point look too dramatic to me. Last week's, what we saw yesterday, it kind of had that look to it, going back to the middle of last week. This week's system does not have that look to it. This would be, at this point, looks like maybe a couple inches of snow for us Tuesday, Wednesday. And I will say this, it's not going to snow each of these those 3 days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. What's going on here is the computer forecast models are trying to figure out the timing of our next storm. So they're really uncertain about when it's going to take place. So there's just more uncertainty than anything else. I just will say, this doesn't, to me, look like any sort of blockbuster storm or even a medium to high snowstorm like what we saw yesterday. Looks like we'd be talking about some flakes. Notice those temperatures in the 40s. Doesn't look quite cold enough for that either. But we could add on to our seasonal snowfall. Look at this. We're at about 80% of our seasonal snowfall so far this season, about 40.5 inches worth of snowfall so far this year. We normally get about 50 or so inches per season here in Denver. So again, we're about 80% of the way to our seasonal average. And of course, March and April are two snowiest months of the year on average, though February has been a pretty big boom month for snow in recent years. March and April do tend to be very hit or miss here along the Front Range. We either tend to get, I don't know, it feels like we either get 20 inches of snow or we get none. So take that with a grain of salt, but I just will say that we are going to add almost without a shadow of a doubt. I don't think we've ever had a snowless March and April. So just for context here, we're going to add to this, and we will almost for sure get to our seasonal average, if not a bit above that. So great news on that front, and we're 9 inches above our season day average. DIA, by the way, did get less snow than most of the rest of the metro area. So despite the fact that DIA's total is probably a little higher than most of the metro area, it's worth pointing out that DIA's seasonal total has been much higher than most of what we've seen here across the Denver area. But yesterday's storm, DIA got lower. Most of the Denver area got about 5-6 inches worth of snowfall. I know outside here at 9 News, we got about 5 inches, maybe about 5.5 inches worth of snowfall here in downtown Denver. West side of town, Lakewood, Wheat Ridge, Boulder, 8 to 10 inches. So it was a pretty hefty storm out there. So again, DIA with only 3.6 inches worth of snowfall. That gap in terms of what DIA has gotten versus what most of the city has actually seen, it kind of narrowed yesterday. So kind of worth pointing that out. And again, I have no control over the fact that DIA is our official observation site. That's the Weather Service's call, and that's a complicated story. And that's not for here. That's a separate story. But meantime, enjoy the sunny weather, enjoy the warmer temperatures for tomorrow and the upcoming weekend. And for those of you who hate those brown snow piles, me amongst them, you will not have to worry about that with this most recent storm, because this is going to melt off pretty quickly. Light water content within this snow, plus warm temperatures and lots of sunshine will melt this off pretty quickly. So hopefully that answers all your weather-related questions for you. If not, meteorologist Lauren Robinson, you may have heard her giggle just a second ago. She's right over there. She's getting ready for 9 News at noon. She'll be also here at 9 News Plus at 2 o'clock. That's another giggle from Lauren, by the way. And then we'll also have Chief Meteorologist Kathy Sabin in at 4 and 5 today. And then meteorologist Danielle Grants in at 6, 9, and 10 tonight on the 9 News family of networks. Once again, I'm meteorologist Chris Bianchi. Thanks for joining us here on 9 News Plus. Have a great rest of your Thursday.